It's a natural phenomenon.
What is the, what do you think about the use of prescription drugs for changing karma?
Such as if someone has maybe clinical depression, something like that?
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, well, it wouldn't change the karma. Karma's still there, but one is changing the effects, what one experiences. So, yes, yeah, that would be fine, you know. But this type of drug is not the panacea. The Dhamma is the panacea, is the true cure. So, yeah, these types of topics are what we have to get out and on the table and try to discuss. This is what, you know, this is what really makes it for me, the talking about the Dhamma. But sometimes such discussions, they can lead to a dead end and to some confusion. But, so the teaching overall, you know, the Buddhist view, we would not take drugs like, take drugs for, what do you call it? Other states of mind, you know, like hallucinogenic drugs and so on.
What about for pain?
Okay. In the Dhamma, we have, you know, the teaching of the Buddha is the middle path. And even this, as I mentioned before, some of these teachings are given in relation to something else. In that time, you know, there were certain religions and spiritual practices that they want to find what true happiness is. One belief is that you find true happiness through the senses, the eyes and the ears and the nose and so on. The others were like the yogis and people who were into self-mortification. This is where, and I've seen these people with my own eyes, sometimes for years and years, they stand outside in the sun on one leg, muscles atrophy, they cannot use that leg anymore. This is the highest form of asceticism to them. And even the Buddha, before he became the Buddha, he practiced asceticism for 6 years. In these years, he had already done the palace life. He's already known all about sensual life. But still he's not happy. So he tries the opposite. He tries these ascetic practices. He would clench his teeth, put the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Such pain, amazing pain. But the mind is not yet, does not move. It's not, it's still calm. Next thing he would do was hold the breath. Then the final thing was he limited his intake of food until finally he was fasting, and he became so thin that you could see his spine from the front. That's very thin. So finally he came to know this is not the correct practice. We must have the middle way. Path between these two opposites, these two extremes. So there is, even with taking drugs and so on, there is a middle way. Okay. Some people will pop a pill just because of aversity to a certain type of input. That arguably, that could be because of bhavatanha. Bhavatanha is a craving to be. So these others would be vibhavatanha, craving not to be. Even, you know, we have one monastic rule that we do not go into the homes of, or go into the villages with our shoes on. So you find barefoot monks everywhere. But now, because all of the roads have been paved and everything, they become very, very hot, extremely hot. So His Holiness Sumit Sankara Dao, former abbot of the monastery I live at, he would always keep his shoes in his bag. He would go down the sidewalk without shoes and then put the shoes there, cross the street, take the shoes and put them back in the sidewalk. Because he said such a practice is Attakilamatanu yoga. It's this type of ascetic practice that does not bear any type of fruit. Okay? So even in our practice, we have to be very careful and police ourselves on what is the middle way. Okay, what is not too much and not too, you know.
the one you were talking about is the prince, son of the 5th king of Bangkok, wasn't it?
Which one?
The one that you
Sumit
just...
Sankara Jao. No, this is Sumit Sankara Jao. He would be great-grandson to the 4th king, Vimom Ratchawong Chu. So we have body and we have mind. According to the Dhamma, the mind is the forerunner of all conditioned things. If we speak, act, or think in a way that is negative, the effects will follow us as the wheel follows the ox. And the opposite is true. If we act, speak, and think in ways that are positive, the effects will follow us as our own shadow. But whenever delusion comes into play, we what we exchange a positive for a negative, because that's what delusion tells us. We think that a negative will bear a positive fruit, and we think that positives bear a negative fruit. But for those who see and understand, that is not the case. A positive, there is a positive effect. Negative, there is a negative effect. So what is a positive and negative? Anything that is produced through non-greed, non-anger, non-delusion, that is a positive. Whatever is produced through anger, greed, delusion, that's a negative. But here again, we're talking, some of our discussion is in a philosophical vein. It's difficult, it's abstract. You can't put it on the table and dissect it, as you would a physical object. So it becomes a little bit difficult. That's why the Buddha teaches meditation, because whenever the mind is calm, you begin to see things which you can't see in a cognitive sense, in a calculated sense. The Buddha says that meditation is not some type of calculated thought or a directed thought, but it's something that arises through wisdom.